Yo, this is Terrence Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nika Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and you're listening to and or watching the snobOS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We want to We want to welcome you to episode 88 of the snobOS podcast. We appreciate you for listening. For those who may be watching, for those who also watch the live show, currently taping it now. If you want to watch the live show, if you want to get in on the live pre-show to where we talk about some things where we're not going to talk about on the regular show, you can definitely support it by becoming a Patreon. $5 a month, you get all those two things. Plus, you get access to our Discord chat where we talk all things tech, where we get ideas from the show and just general community like conversation. So definitely show us some love. If you want to get a little bit extra bonus, definitely support us via the Patreon. But other than that, let's get right into the show. This first block, we're going to talk about the lowdown, where we talk about all things Apple. And I guess we're going to go ahead and let some people know about iOS 13.6.1. That's the latest iOS that was released. And we're going to do a little bit of magic here. I've been playing with our platform, and I'm actually going to put up the actual article that I'm reading. So Apple released iOS 13.6.1, and there's not a lot going on in iOS 13.6.1, basically like bug fixes. So for example, iOS 13.6.1 addresses an issue where unneeded system data files might not automatically be deleted when available storage is low. That's one of the cool things about Apple. If you're buying iCloud storage, if you have file storage and it's starting to get full, Apple starts to delete some old stuff. Maybe some people are having an issue with that. iOS 13.6.1 fixes a thermal management issue that caused some displays to exhibit a green tint. So there's a bug fix for that. And there's a bug fix that fixes an issue where exposure notifications could be disabled for some users. So if you're not familiar, exposure notifications are the tracking, the COVID tracking. So if you've been exposed, or you got a positive diagnosis, you can actually use your iPhone or Android and third-party apps to kind of track where you've been to see if it can notify other people that have been exposed to COVID-19 as a result of your diagnosis or as a result of how you're feeling as far as the pandemic. And it kind of notifies the people around. So that was fixing an issue to where that was disabled. So that was pretty much it for iOS 13.6.1. I think the major OS release was 13.6, where it had digital car keys and a bunch of other stuff. This 13.6.1 was pretty much just bug fixes. So just wanted to let people know what was going on with that. Let's see. I'm probably just going to move right along into the next story here. Apple reportedly launching subscription bundles with new iPhones this October. So for those who are subscribing to Apple Family Music, you get a couple things with family sharing. You get sharing for music, you get sharing for any sort of books, you get sharing for any sort of movies you've purchased. You can share that. But Apple looks like they are going to launching other subscription bundles to where you get music and news, or you can get TV and movies. You can kind of bundle things a la carte almost. You can bundle things how you want to, in addition to a new fitness service, right? So this story that I'm reading on The Verge says a number of different tiers will be available, starting with a basic combo of Apple Music and Apple TV Plus, while more expensive bundles will add Apple Arcade. Then you can add Apple News Plus, and then at the next tier, you can get extra cloud storage. And then you can also maybe get into an Apple TV fitness app, similar to services like Nike and Peloton. So that's a rumor that probably the main thing of that story is the fact that Apple may be coming out with a fitness service. So I guess my question to you is, do you currently subscribe to one of these fitness services? And if not, would you consider Apple Fitness?
So
Especially
I
how.
have
Go ahead.
the Peloton, because when they were first at the beginning of the pandemic, they were giving away, I think it was 3 months
Okay.
free subscription.
All right.
And I did do some of the stuff during that 3 months, and it was really good. So I would definitely, be open to it. I didn't purchase the Peloton one, and I guess it would just really depend on the cost to see if it was comparable and the content as well, because the content on the Peloton app is really good. It gives you different skill levels. It does, Peloton is known for, the bikes, but they
Mm-hmm.
had like cardio workout, they had yoga, they had like kickboxing, they had like your dance type Zumba hip hop like dance class. So they had like a gamut of content, and it was really good. It was like interactive. You could, it's kind of like a chat type of thing where you can follow people, and you can do workouts together. So I mean, I'd be down for it, especially since I canceled my gym membership, because I won't going back there, even though people have gone back and they've been sending me these things to try and come back, and I'm like, nah, bruh, it's nah. So I would definitely, yeah, I'd be open to it, especially if
Yeah.
the content was good.
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, I see people on Instagram back in the gym, and it's like, yeah, you can socially distance all you want to, but it just something about the gym and sweat
And sweat,
and
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 everybody's touching everything.
yeah, and
Not
you can
everybody
wipe.
cleans
Yeah,
between. Mm-mm.
it
And
just
then the
seems.
locker room.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, that seems like a lot. So again, just going back a little bit more about the story, Bloomberg, which is what we're the story that's referencing. Bloomberg says the story: the bundles will be marketed towards family, and they'll work with Apple's family sharing system, meaning each service can be accessed by up to 6 individuals, as you expect. With subscription bundles, buying them will be cheaper than buying individual services. As Bloomberg says, for example, if a family subscribes today to all of Apple's major services plus the highest iCloud storage tier, that will cost about $45 a month. A new bundle could knock more than $5 off of that. So basically, if you bought this family tier, you may get it at a discount if you do everything versus kind of a la carte it. But again, like I said, Apple's got all these digital services. They're making tons of money off of digital services, so it makes sense for them to expand on that. All right, let's see. Let's get to
Definitely
the
does.
Yep, let's get to the another other story. So, in addition to rolling out some things on iOS 14, they are rolling out more security things because, of course, Apple is big on security. So they have confirmed that they're adding a security feature that validates the integrity of third-party apps. So when third-party apps, subscribe or what's the word? Submit. That's the word I'm looking for. Submit their app to the App Store. They have to agree to use Apple's, I think it's called App Attest API in iOS 14 as part of Apple's device check services. According to Apple, it helps protect against security threats to apps in iOS 14 or later, reducing fraudulent use of these services. So, of course, some apps that they would submit the app to Apple, make it look good on the front end. Apple says, okay, we're going to approve it. We put it into the actual App Store. Then they throw some other stuff in there to circumvent all of the security features. It sounds like this service that Apple is going to be using now, you can't get around that. So just want to get your opinion on, what do you think? Do you think that Apple, with all these new security features, they've got a bunch of security features coming out in iOS 14 in addition to this one? Do you think this is going to hinder app developers from actually putting apps in the App Store? Or do you think this is a good move on Apple and then developers are just going to have to follow suit?
I don't think it's going to stop developers. I think they'll probably, be pissed about it and gripe about it, but at the end of the day, I think they'll keep developing and keep putting apps in the App Store. It's just the App Store is just such a huge juggernaut that it's how else are you going to get your apps out there? You can put them on other platforms. You can put them on Android, but with the amount of people that have iPhones, if you want to keep your revenue coming in from your apps, you're going to have to adapt and make those changes. So
Okay. All right. All right.
yeah.
I'll just read a little bit more about this. This is because, and I'm just reading from the story, This is because App Attest, which is this new API, allows developers to generate a special cryptographic key on a device and use it to validate the integrity of their app before servers provide access to sensitive data. The ultimate aim is to prevent hacked apps and those that can be sideloaded and modified through jailbreaking tweaks. So again, like I said, Apple is dropping the hammer on all of these, security flaws and these hacks. And again, like I said, in the end, they're making it more safer for the actual users. All right. So
Yeah.
go
And
ahead.
everybody complains about it until their app gets hacked and their data is compromised. Then it's like, well, we should have more security. So, you know, taking the preemptive route, I think is better to be, prepared than to be on the reactionary end when something kind of blows up. So,
Right, right. All right. So that kind of rolls into our next story as it relates to the question I asked you about how app developers feel about Apple, dropping the hammer, especially as it relates to some of these new security features. Actually, we're talking about Fortnite. If you are not familiar, Fortnite is running into some issues with Apple. And basically, what they're doing is they are in this big battle with Apple because of their, according to Epic Games, Apple is monopolizing via the App Store, and they take 30% of the profits from any in-app purchases. So Fortnite decided that they wanted to, and I'll just kind of go down and I'll just read the timeline as I understand it. Again, this is kind of a big mess. So this all happened within a month, right? So first and foremost, Fortnite rather, slams Apple over App Store in-app purchase monopoly, which is what I just said. In order to get your app in the App Store to be seen by millions, maybe even billions of users, depending on how many devices out there, you got to play along with Apple. They got to take 30% of the cut. Then you get your app in the App Store. You play the rules. You get all the different benefits. Apple is always in their press releases and their big major announcements. They always talk, especially as it relates to iOS, they talk about all the millions and billions of dollars app developers have made as a result of being in the App Store. It sounds like maybe I'm tripping, but it sounds like Epic wants more than
Yep.
billions and millions and billions of dollars.
They want more. They want all the money.
Right. So basically, how the timeline goes is Fortnite, has a beef with Apple over the in-purchase monopoly. After that, they kind of set up an alternative payment option. So they created some V-Bucks to where users had to purchase these V-Bucks outside of the App Store, then go into the app and actually redeem those V-Bucks to do things like get all the cool dances, get all the cool emotes, get all the cool guns, all the new, extra features, and play those in the App Store. Well, of course, Apple said, yeah, we're not doing that, and actually removed Fortnite from the App Store. So it sounds like Epic Games kind of knew that was coming. So immediately, I'd say maybe not even a day later, they put out a suit against Apple about their monopolizing nature of the App Store, and put out this spoof of that classic 1984 commercial that Apple did where they wanted everybody to break away from the PC. So Fortnite kind of spoofed that same commercial and tried to use it against Apple and said, we want you to break away from the App Store. You got the little guy. You got to fight against the big giant corporation, which is Apple. And if y'all want
Epic Games is a little guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So, they want to kind of drum up the support from the people who want to play Fortnite, because Apple removed Fortnite from the App Store. That doesn't mean you still can't play it if you already had it. But if you went to the App Store to try to download it, they unlisted it, right? So you can't get it. But then as a result of that, Google also removed Fortnite from the Play Store because Fortnite was trying to circumvent not just Apple's App Store guidelines, but also Google's. So I guess the question is, what camp are you in? Are you against Fortnite, being upset at Apple taking a huge chunk out of their profits, or are you with on the side of Apple to say, look, these are the rules. You play by them. You don't have no issues. But we can say whatever we want, and you have no choice but to comply.
So I think it's really funny because this happened last Thursday, not too long after we did the show,
Okay.
and I saw it all unfold on Twitter. So there are so many people that hate Apple, and they were just like, "Yeah, stick it to them."
Right.
Apple is the worst. They take too much. And I mean, all the anti-Apple people were having a field day with this. This was like their day,
Right.
and they had a blast with it. And what I don't think Epic Games planned or expected that Google will pull it from their Play Store as well. I think that kind of came out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
They may say now, no, we expected that, but I think the Google Play Store angle kind of blindsided them. And I thought it
Right.
was very interesting that Apple and Google are on the same page with this, and they're kind of tag teaming it. So Apple pulled it and Google Play was like, you know what, we'll pull it too. So I
Right.
thought that was a unique dynamic. I get where they're saying, that Apple is taking way too much off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it for so maybe some of the smaller app development companies, but come on, Fortnite is huge.
Right.
So instead of making 15, these are random numbers, $15 billion, they may make $10 billion. So it's hard to root for David, Goliath fighting Goliath. I
Right.
could see if it was a true David versus Goliath type of thing, but Epic Games trying to play themselves as a little guy is insane.
Right.
And the only people that are buying into that are the people who hate Apple.
Right.
Now, to the 30%, it is steep. It is a lot that you're having to pay out to Apple.
Right.
But at the same time, you're doing all of your work and you're putting it on someone else's platform. It's the same thing as with, different users on Instagram or Twitter
Mm-hmm.
or Facebook, TikTok. We post all of this stuff to that app, but we don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these tech companies can sell it, they can use it, pretty much to whatever their benefit, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole idea that this is completely new, that our data or our content is being taken advantage of. No, when you're using someone else's platform, when you signed that end user agreement, that's what you're agreeing to. Now, if you don't agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
then don't put your products on that platform. It's not like they're making you put it on that platform. It's your choice whether you choose to put your app in the App Store or in the Google Play Store. Now, if you don't put it there, then
Right.
you're at a significant revenue loss. So you, as a business person, has to weigh the difference. So
Mm-hmm.
what percentage would work for them? 20%,
Right.
10%, 1%? What would make them happy? I don't think any number would make them happy, because if Apple were to come down and say, okay, you know what? We'll drop it 5%. We'll do it at 25%. That's still too much. It will never be enough unless they get 100% of the profits, which you cannot do when you're putting your product on someone else's platform.
Right.
That's just not the way capitalism works. Sorry, friends. If you want to benefit from capitalism on one end
Mm-hmm.
by doing your product and making all of your billions of dollars, you have to be in the whole capitalism game.
Right.
Apple is a company, they're about making money, so they have to do what they have to do to make their money as well. So, I just think I found it quite funny, and I was just cackling when I was reading it on Twitter, because Epic trying to play themselves as a little guy was just like hilarious to me.
Right. But so I think what the reason why I believe Apple and then Google not necessarily teamed up, but kind of see where this could go, and it may be a little bit, not a Pandora's box, to where if, let's just say, they were to either back down and come up with some sort of exclusion for Epic Games, that's going to open up the door for all of the apps that have always been
Exactly.
complaining that Apple is taking too much and they're too constricting and stringent with their rules and how you get the app in the store, and they can pull your app for whatever reason. That just opens up the, Pandora's box, so I think Apple, whether or not they have a good case or not, 30% does sound kind of steep, But again, if you compare that against you getting 100% of zero, you know what I'm saying? 30%,
Right.
70% is a good number to take versus getting 100% of, zero, right? But anyway, that opens up, like I said, for all the other app developers, because for Epic Games is not the first company to get mad at Apple
Nope.
for taking 30% off the top. And, like I said, Apple has stood by that, and I don't think, they're going to budge. I'm 100% sure they're not going to budge on this either, because this just opens the door for other companies. And then, then where they lead, are they making, is it case by case basis? Is it a flat? Is it, like you said, is 20% enough? Is 10% enough? I mean, what happens when Apple says, all right, well, we'll drop it to 20%. And then years go by, another Epic Games or another third-party developer comes and says 20% is too much. And then Apple says, okay, well, what about 15? And then they get down to 5. And then before you know it, like you said, that's not how capitalism works.
That's not how it works.
You either going to be in capitalism or you're not. You can't pick and choose, right? And
Right.
so the other issue I think Epic brought up was the fact that, Apple claims that they don't make exceptions. You comply with the rules. You don't have any issues. But I think they tried to make a comparison to Uber, because I don't think Apple takes 30% of Uber when I, hail a Uber or hail a Lyft, to where I don't think they're taking 30% of those transactions that happen within Uber, for paying for rides or whatever the case may be. So I had to read more into that, but I did see how Fortnite, or Epic Games rather, was trying to use that as a reason to say, okay, well, if there are other apps outside of this 70-30 split that have these exclusionary rules, we want that same thing. But again, Apple's, they've stood by the idea that they don't, make exceptions. Everybody's got to follow by the same rules. And again, I don't see Epic being able to get an exception for them, because again, like I said, getting an exception to them is going to be an exception for everybody else. And then, like you said, the final issue is, like I mentioned before, is all right, it's messed up, but where else you gonna put your app if it's not on Google Play, if it's not in Apple stores? Can it go on BlackBerry? Is it going to go on Windows? Is it going to live exclusively on Windows, PC? Are you going to, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Can it live
Right.
exclusively on consoles? Because Fortnite is just popular, if not more so, in mobile devices than it is on console.
Right. And that's the thing that is very interesting. First, comparing Uber to Epic Games to Fortnite is not even the same, because where Epic Games is making the most of their money is on in-app purchases
Right.
inside of the game. So the overall function of the development of the app is to play this game.
Right.
You're
Okay.
talking about extras that you're trying to buy within the game.
Right.
As for Uber, I'm paying for a ride from point A to B. I'm not buying, like soda
Right.
in the Uber,
Right.
or
Got you.
doing the extras.
That
And
makes
the other
sense.
thing is, Epic is they're trying to make it seem like they're fighting the fight for the little guys,
Mm-hmm.
but the biggest thing is, like you said, you can play Fortnite on any of the consoles. Some of these other apps,
Right.
they can only go on mobile devices. There's no other place that they can add
Right.
their 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 programs or their apps to.
Right.
They could try to scale it for Xbox or PlayStation, but they may not have the budget for that. So they have the budget to be strictly mobile development.
Right.
So
and to add to Apple's case is Fortnite can put their Epic rather can put Fortnite on consoles. You can put it on PC. You can put it on anything else, right? You can't say Apple is a monopoly when there are other options. Now Apple
you have multiple other options.
Now Apple is the biggest and the best. And if you were to chop that 30% down to 20%, that means exorbitant amount of extra money for you. So I can see the play, and I'm not hating,
because it's capitalism.
Right.
So I definitely see the game they're playing.
Right. But yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work for anybody before them. And just because they're Epic. So again, that goes back to the original, this 1984 spoof video. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to have the users and the fans put
Revolt,
pressure.
revolution.
Right. This revolution, right, to where they're going to put so much pressure on Apple and so much pressure on their legislators or whomever they write into that's going to force Apple to kind of back down. But maybe work for somebody else. But Apple's like a $2 trillion in the bank company. I don't think it's going to work.
They swimming in cash. And the other, because I think we talked about the other App Store lawsuit a while back, and it's referenced in this article, Apple v. Pepper. This has been going on for what, 10 years?
Right.
Apple got long money. They can stretch this thing out as long as they want, and it won't really, affect them.
Right.
Now, should they do that? I mean, again, it's capitalism, so it's all about the almighty dollar. So each side is going to do what they think is best to protect their money. And, I guess we'll see how it plays. But I don't think Fortnite really expected Apple to pull them from the App Store. And I definitely don't believe they expected Google to pull it from the Play Store. Apple and Google are calling their bluff. And so they can't back down now. They got to roll with it.
Right.
Even, to their demise, they're going to have to roll with it because now, they've made this big stink and they've, tried to get, fans involved.
Right.
But the fact that a lot of people have these consoles, and if you're playing and you're gaming, and if you can't get your fix on your mobile device, you can play it at home. And the fact that we're all kind of locked in right now, it's kind of like, well, yeah, it's not cool, but I can go into my living room and still play it on my Xbox 360. So
right, and most of these kids playing Fortnite, they're trying to stream, they're trying to make a living off of Fortnite and off of streaming. So they're not trying to make a living using their mobile device. They're on PC, they're on Xbox, they're on PlayStation, trying to make a living off of gaming. They ain't trying to do that off no phone. So we'll see how it rolls.
I got 3 nephews and they are all into Fortnite, and they play it only on the PlayStation.
Right.
So they can get up and kind of run around and, do the dances with it or whatever. And they have it on the big screen TV. So looking at it on your, little phone is not their focus. They're on the big boy system. So
right.
We'll see how it plays out. But I think, Epic may have backed themselves in a corner that may be a little bit of difficult to get out of because they can't back down now.
We shall see. All right. So I think that is it for the lowdown. Now we're going to move into second string where we talk all things tech in general. And it looks like Netflix is testing some sort of shuffle/play feature. They mentioned Netflix is testing a shuffle play feature again. I don't remember when they tested this before, but this kind of caught my eye specifically because everybody's shut in as it relates to, having entertainment streaming, watching things on TV, so it sounds like now I guess would be a good time for Netflix to try this shuffle thing to where some viewers have noticed a shuffle play button appearing on the Netflix TV app's user profile screen right beneath their display image and name. The option is alternatively materialized in the left side menu bar, available after a profile is selected. Renamed Play Something is the actual name of the button for some, as well as the main screen. So basically, it does what you think it does is you can click Play Something, and based on your watch history, based on what's in your watch list, I forget what the name of it's called. I think it's called the watch list or your favorites list, whatever you call it. Based on that information.
I think watch list is Amazon Prime.
Yeah, for whatever it's called for Netflix. They use algorithms. They know what you're watching, pretty much. So, you click this Play Something button, and then they will play something that they think you will like. So I guess my question to you is this something that interests you, or do you like more control, or are you, I guess, comfortable with all of the content on Netflix to trust it to play something that you would like?
See, that's the thing. Like when you go into your home screen of Netflix, it has already a recommendation section of things you may want to watch based on other things you've already watched. So just for them just to kind of play something, no, because some stuff is not great. So I'd rather look I'd rather look it up myself or go based on, something someone else recommended. So,
Right, right.
I probably won't be using that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be using it. I probably won't use it either. But it'd be because I get into moods. It's like there's some mood times I'm in for stand up. There's sometimes I'm in for action. There's sometimes I'm into whatever anime. They got a nice little anime selection in Netflix. So once I get into those moods, I just want to watch that type of stuff. I don't want
Hmm.
to click this play something button and it play kung fu flick and then turn right back around and play some sort of romantic comedy just because I ended up watching a romantic comedy sometime down the road. It's like, no, stick with this. Don't switch up to
Hmm.
something else. So, having said that, if it did do that to where if I'm watching something and it plays something similar to that, not necessarily just something similar to I've watched, period, then
Hmm.
maybe it'd be advantageous to actually do that. But yeah, I don't see it.
Just to randomly just pull something out of the sky.
Right.
I mean, if
But
you're already watching something, I mean, it seems like it would be kind of disjointed. Because
right.
if you're in like heavy action mode and then all of a sudden it goes to a rom-com or something, and you're just like, wait a minute,
Right.
that's not what mood I was in. So
Yeah, so
yeah, it's not. I don't think I'll be using it.
yeah, so we'll see. Y'all let us know if you get that play something. I'll be paying close attention and see if I get it. I may just roll the dice and see what it does. If it does something whack one
Just to
time,
try it out.
if it does something whack just one time, I'll spit on it
I'm with
and,
you.
no second tries. You get one shot to get it right. If you don't get it right, it is a wrap. All right. So let's see. Moving on to the next show or next article. Instagram is rolling out a QR profile feature. They're rolling out globally. So for those who don't know, Instagram had a name tag feature to where you can show your device in this name tag. You open up your name tag, show it to another device. That other device scans that name tag, and then it takes them right to their profile. That they've replaced that with a QR code. Most of the smartphones out right now have a built-in QR. I know iPhones have it. They have a built-in QR code in the camera to where all you do is open up the camera, hover it over a QR code, automatically reads it, takes you to a profile page, or takes you if you're Instagram for business, it could take you to a business homepage, and that's so much easier. The reason why I wanted to put this up here because scanning a QR code is so much easier than trying to type out somebody's crazy Instagram name. Some of these people have some of the weirdest,
With the
jankiest.
underscores, the two underscores, two
Right.
spaces,
Right.
all that stuff is crazy.
It got leaked spellings to where it's a 3 instead of an E and an L instead of a T. And it's like, I ain't gonna do all that. Just show me your QR code. Let me scan it. I'll get right to it. Right. And then some people like me, I be feeling the pressure, right? When somebody's looking over my shoulder and they're like, oh, it's just someone, so and so. So my fingers is like, I freak out, right? Versus
Performance anxiety. It's
egg.
like you're watching me type, and it's hard.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, right? So this way, you can just show me your profile QR code. I can scan it and I get right to where I need to go. So I think this is a good feature that they're rolling out. I mean, just a lot of people will jump on it because Instagram is the move. I have moved Twitter. I hate to say it, you might not agree, but I've moved Twitter off my main screen and I've kind of hidden it. I've got the iOS 14 public beta and I'm using the app library. I've moved Twitter into the app library. If I need to get to it, I'll just search for the Twitter app, open it up, but it's not on my home screen anymore. And that's replaced by Instagram because all the things I do, I get so much more interaction. I get so many more views. I get so much more responses for my content on Instagram. Maybe that's just me because I put more effort into it. Maybe that's just as things are going as a whole. But, like I said, I've kind of moved away from Twitter for the most part and moved to Instagram. How's your,
Twitter's still home.
is it? Okay.
Twitter's still home for me. Yeah. I, Instagram is a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. You got to find the right photo or right video. Do you want to put it on stories? Do you want to put it on the feed? Got
Uh-huh.
to come up with a clever caption. You got to use your hashtags. especially when you're doing storage, you got to add all the graphics and stuff. And on Twitter, I just type it out and send, and I keep with the chuckles.
Okay. All right. All
So
right.
yeah, yeah, Twitter's still home. I live there.
All right. All right. Well, for all my Instagram folks, definitely check that out. All right. Let's see. Moving on to the next story. We got another thing coming with, I guess the story continues as far
Yo,
as
boy.
TikTok is concerned. So Trump has actually moved forward with his TikTok and WeChat ban and has put a deadline on the ban of WeChat and TikTok to where after 45 days, U.S. users rather, if no U.S. company has purchased and taken over the U.S. operations of TikTok from Tencent and ByteDance, then it's going to ban U.S. users from actually, accessing or using the app. So I guess I wanted to get your. I think we kind of talked about it before,
Hmm.
but I mean, do you think this is going to fly? Do you think?
I want them to call his bluff. I really want them to call, because I don't think he'll follow through with it. The amount of revenue and the amount of um, ads that people do on these apps for
Mhm.
companies that, are his buddies, or, make money or whatever. It, I hope they call his bluff, because I don't think he'll go through with it. It sounds all big and bold and right now, but when it
Mhm.
comes down to it, at the end of the day, money talks and everything else walks.
Mhm.
And I don't see it happening.
Okay. All right. Well, let me read this just so we can get the actual statement, and I'll put it up on the screen as well. It says, according to Trump, WeChat automatically captures vast swaths of information from its users. This data collection threatens to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information. Banning the app, adding that the application also captures personal information of Chinese nationals visiting the U.S. The order would basically ban the app in the United States, prohibits any transaction that is related to WeChat or TikTok, in this case, by any person, or with respect to any property subject to jurisdiction in the United States with Tencent Holdings. I guess they own the WeChat part, and then what was the other company? ByteDance
That is.
owns TikTok. So he's kind of lumped them all in, both of those in, since they are Chinese companies or companies that have Chinese origins. Again, like you said last week and even this week, this is kind of a flex for him because some of the things he's been doing hasn't worked. So maybe he can do something to see that he is strong on foreign policy or whatever the case may be. But like you said, it'd be interesting to see with all of the capitalistic ideologies of the United States, and like you said, all these companies that advertise on these apps, the same companies that he claims to be, supportive of. We'll see if nobody buys, TikTok and WeChat. Will he actually go through with this
No.
ban?
No, he's just gonna stop talking about it and start talking about something else.
Right. Okay.
Because my thing is, I still haven't figured out, is he just making this up about the data collection? Has this been proven or anything? Or is
It.
he just saying this? And then if it is true, so are they gonna ban Facebook too? Hello, Cambridge Analytica. Hello, access to our data. Is he gonna get rid of Google too? Because I mean, some of the same things that he's accusing, Tencent of, and the apps associated with, are some of the same things that have happened with American companies.
Right.
So it just really goes to show that this is something completely alternative to what he doesn't care about people's privacy,
Right.
because if he did, he would have done something about, Facebook and Google and some of the other companies whose data, they've collected data and misused it. So I honestly think nobody is going to be able to pull off purchasing this type of juggernaut in 45 days. That's one. Two, they're not going to be able to scale it to even be able to earn any money from it in a short period of time. It's going to take a lot of time to repurpose and reconfigure this app just for US residents.
Right.
And third, he's just, once this all falls through, it's just all smoke and mirrors. Once it falls through, he's going to go on and start talking about something else.
Right.
It's just going to be completely forgotten and moved on like nothing ever happened. So he's just, like I said last week, and I'll continue to say, he's a very egotistical, weak-minded
Okay.
person, and all he knows to do is to do these grand type gestures and statements and things, and doesn't follow through on any of it. Because I know I was on Twitter today, and I think Goodyear, the tire company, they I didn't go too deep into this story, but apparently they said for people not to wear Blue Lives Matter stuff or MAGA stuff to work or to the office. And so he called for everybody to boycott them. An American company that was founded over 100 years ago, who has 60,000 US workers. And you're telling people to boycott this American company in the middle of a freaking pandemic when we're already at 30 million unemployed. It's just another tactic by him. Because the same thing, if people were wearing Black Lives Matter stuff to work, and this Goodyear company said, we can't, we're banning, you can't wear anything Black Lives Matter, he'd applaud it. But
Right.
because it's something related to him and his ego, he's trying to shut it down. That's just not how this thing works. It's not.
Right. All right. Well, I think there is something to be gained. Well, to answer your question, there is the idea with, you mentioned Cambridge Analytica. There is the case that a foreign company that doesn't always have the best it doesn't have the best interests at heart when as it relates to the United States. Going back to Cambridge Analytica in Russia, trying to use Facebook and some of the other social media platforms to influence the election. That's been ruled as a fact. Even though nobody took any heat for it. I think people are
But
kind of
he's not calling to ban Facebook though,
right, but
or
as
sell it to another U.S. company, right?
right, but
That's pretty much the point I was trying to make with that.
right. But there is the case to be made that data in the hands of a foreign company, you can't 100% say that they're not going to it be that they wouldn't try to manipulate that to do something with it. So it's almost like
And that I agree with.
right. So there is the case. And two, companies can benefit off of at very least, trying to say they're going to buy TikTok. For example, going into the very next story that we have for Second String, Oracle has joined Microsoft and Twitter with their bids to actually buy TikTok. And even whether or not that it works or not, for instance, Oracle and Twitter, what happens is the stock market, right? So Oracle put its bid in, Twitter put its bid in after Microsoft kind of put their bids in, and the stock market values for Twitter and Oracle rose. So if anything, you put your ring in the hat, your name in the ring, well, your name in the hat. Let me get
Or
my
hat in the ring.
right. Jeez Louise. You put your name in there to actually be considered as one of the companies that's looking to buy, WeChat or TikTok or whatever company out there, and say, hey, look, we're trying to do something good. We're trying to do something positive. And as a result, your stock prices kind of
Find some
rise.
goodwill.
Right. Exactly
And
what it
I think
is.
that's the name of the game. Again, we talked about it earlier with Epic Games, is capitalism. So even if they have no intent on purchasing this app, getting their name out there associated with this, it's a benefit to them. So they're taking advantage, whether they actually need it or not.
Right. And, just looking at Oracle jumping in, just a personal assumption, Oracle's one of those companies that, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago was the talk of the town. Now nobody hardly ever says anything about Oracle anymore.
Nope.
So for Oracle, let's just say to even come in and say, even Microsoft for, a certain extent, trying to get that, young, new, invigorated audience or that customer base, buying something like a TikTok, where all the kids are,
Give them street cred.
right, that'll give them some street cred. In addition to, the bump in the value of the company, it brings them a new revenue stream from a younger age range that everybody's trying to get. So whether they actually buy it or whether they put their name in the hat with no intentions to buy it, there's a upside to where they get the stock market goes up because people are trying to find a way to make money, or two, they actually get it, then, considering working out all the other obstacles that we've mentioned before, them actually getting it, they get a new customer base, they get the new street cred, and they get a new, alternative revenue source. So
Right. And I agree that if it is proven that the Chinese government is taking this data and manipulating it and using it against this country, then yeah, we should divest from it. But not in this, you have 45 days, kind of
right,
like this ultimatum thing. With data and with these huge juggernaut of companies, it's not just as simple as saying you got to sell it and you got to buy it. That's not how any of this works, and it just shows to me the lack of understanding from this administration on how to go about this the most successful way, because I can see a lot of ways that this can go wrong. So even if China is collecting this data and using it for nefarious purposes, which we don't know, and which I wouldn't trust this administration to tell me if they actually were, because I don't believe them and I wouldn't believe China. But what I'm saying is, if they know this is coming, you've already kind of put this on the table. Don't you think they're already hoarding and mining that data and storing it somewhere to be
right,
able to use it? Because they have the profiles now. They have all of the necessary information now. So gathering, I guess, if they get more users, they get more information. But with what they already have, with the amount of people on TikTok, the amount of people who use TikTok, they already have a huge data set. I mean, ginormous.
right,
So trying to push this through, trying to antagonize them even more, it only hurts us as citizens.
right. Yeah, no, I get it. Um, you know, of course, we know that this is just grandstanding, but hopefully, maybe this will, at the very, if nothing ever happens, is like you mentioned, if you know, nobody buys the company, 45 days elapse, Trump moves on to something else, like the election, like Bernie Sanders or Kamala Harris or whatever the thing is that he can get some, street cred from. Hopefully, this will encourage developers, app companies to take security more seriously. Even if, again, like this whole thing with Trump, the reason why he's doing it may be a joke. Again, data is the new currency. Like I keep saying, cyber warfare is coming around the corner if it hasn't already had taken place. And the one way to get people is through these apps. So maybe hopefully, some of these companies will, be more guarded of our data, whether they use it, whether they knowingly are giving it to a third party or a communist country or whatever the case may be, or they're just trying to hurry up and put something together because, entrepreneurship, capitalism, whatever the case may be, you just can't play around with our data like that, because you could wind up on the front desk of the president, that's trying to, make some moves, and you might be the target, right? So
Yeah.
for whatever reason, you don't want to be that. So, hopefully,
Nope.
you take data a little bit more seriously, especially how everything is going to the cloud, everything is going to our phones nowadays. Hopefully some of these app developers, these big companies are starting to take note, because you could be on the wrong end of the publicity, right?
Right. And you don't want to be the face of one of the biggest cyber attacks, in history, and you don't want to be on the ire of this toddler that we have in the White House. So
All right.
it'll be pretty bad either way.
All right. All right. So that is it for Second String. We're going to move into our For the Culture segment, where we talk, any sort of content, whether it be technology or not, that relates to, our culture, things that's going on in pop culture, or, things that affect us specifically as African Americans. So one of the things I want to put out there, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I have a specific take that somebody brought to my attention recently, and I thought, that makes sense. But I'll just put the story up. It looks like Facebook has decided to create a program for Black creators, to where they are committing $25 million to Black creators this year to better support the Black community on Facebook and Instagram. As part of this investment, we are launching a new program to equip the next generation of Black creators with the funding and resources to succeed. So if you've got a story to tell, if you've got a inspiration, whether you've got some good content, Facebook wants to throw some money behind it. I'm just reading a little bit more into the website. We want to empower the next generation of Black storytellers to become successful. By participating in this initiative, creators receive the support they need to help them prepare their careers to the next level, grow their community of followers, and build a business across Facebook Inc.'s family of apps. We're looking for creators who want to celebrate their communities, amplify their unique narratives, and have a positive impact. So I guess I just wanted to get your opinion on where you think this is coming from. Do you think this is a benefit or a positive? Do you think they're just showboating and all this whole, renewed, support all things Black, movement? Where you think Facebook is coming at from this?
So it could really go either way. The sentiment, I think, is a good idea. What I guess I'm looking at some of the qualifications. You have to be 18 or older, which makes sense.
Right.
And you have to have a minimum of 10,000 followers on either Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
So it kind of takes the quote unquote micro influencers out of the game.
Right.
So if you don't already have that following, then you're not eligible. So if you're just starting out, then you won't be eligible to participate.
Right.
So that's kind of one thing that kind of gave me a cause for pause. And then the other thing is Facebook going to be able to claim any type of ownership of any of your IP
that's a good point.
That's where my head goes, because I know when, the whole Black Square movement kind of came out, I can't remember the company. I'm trying so hard to remember it. And they were like, yeah, we'll give you office space. We'll give you this or that to come in and be able to do your thing. But they wanted a percentage of your IP just so you could come in and use their space.
Gotcha.
So that always gives me, a little cause for pause. I would just be overly cautious with, these type of things, to make sure that, yes, you're opening this program for Black creators. My thing is, if someone submits for this program, you don't accept it. Facebook does a lot of programming now. Are you going to swipe this person's, thing and create it on Facebook? I mean, I know, unfortunately, that's not the way one would typically want to think, but in this current climate,
right,
that's where my head goes is, are you going to try and keep some of my IP or take ownership of some of my IP if you don't select me as one of the creators, but you think my idea is dope? Are you going to go and create something similar? Do I have any type of protection? Do I need to, before I submit to this, do I need to make sure I have my legal ducks in a row to protect myself from any type of theft of my idea? So in theory, looking at this sounds great. It gives voices to some of the smaller creators, but 10,000 followers is still a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not that small.
Right.
So I could see if it was just opening up to anybody, whether you had 10,000 or 1,000 or 100 followers, but putting the parameters around the follow account, it kind of, it takes a little bit of it away from me.
Yeah,
for me.
And that was the point I was making, specifically as a creator, we creating this podcast, it's like, yeah, I need, and I need to amplify our Black voices. We need funding for access to education and development, product support, and community building resources. We need all that, right? So, but we don't qualify because we need the 10,000 followers on Facebook or 10,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know if that's a weeding out process of just not to get everybody and anybody. But I mean, if you're geared towards, getting the little man in the front door, whatever the case may be, this is kind of like but not everybody really, right? So
you're limiting the Black voices that you're willing to
right,
amplify.
right. So somebody made the alluded to, well, if I had ID, I wouldn't need ID, right? That's a popular line from a rap song, and it's
Right.
like, well, if I had the support of Facebook or whomever, or the same sort of resources that some of these other influencers are, I would need this program, right? If I could easily get 10,000 followers or 500,000 followers or whatever you need to make to turn this into a big enterprise, I would need Facebook help. So it's kind of like, well, are you trying to help creators, or are you trying to get certain types of creators? If you've got somebody applying for this that's got, 1 million followers on Facebook and 2 million followers on Instagram, if I was running this program and somebody came to me with millions of followers, I'd be like, oh yeah, pick them, right? Because all they're going to do,
they already got a built-in audience,
right? They've already,
and this is going to help increase our audience.
Exactly, right? So if I put our name behind them, then that's going to make us look so much better, yada yada yada, right? So that was one of the main things, the questions I had. But again, you got to look outside yourself. It can't be selfish, even though, I may not qualify, even though this show definitely does not qualify. This is definitely another resource that has come out of, I believe it did, who knows if Facebook would have created this specific program for people of color as it relates to the whole, this new up and coming, not revolution, but this new importance on, equality and fixing the judicial system and this racism as a whole, as it relates to social media, as it relates to access, definitely wouldn't have, not definitely, but I'm pretty sure this was sparked as a result of all the newfound, strive and, support. So good that definitely has come out. But again, like you said, you mentioned, some good points as it relates to what does Facebook want in return, right? Outside of just getting, people with influence already, or a little bit, or some sort of influence. Are they asking for? What are they asking for? And I've done a little bit of research, and I haven't found anything as to what specifically, does Facebook give or get in return outside of this 25 million that they're just giving out, right? So it'd be interesting to see if anybody that I'm connected to, or anybody that I follow, or anybody that is known gets into this program and what comes about. So it'd be different, it'd be interesting to see what comes from that. If you are interested, if you're listening to my voice and you do got the numbers and you are interested, definitely applications are due September 5th. So you've got a little bit, but not a whole lot, maybe a little over 2 or 3 weeks. Definitely fill it out. Let us know if you, get through the process, what you can tell us about it. If you're not, reduced by NDAs and some secretive, handshake, right?
Yeah, because I went ahead and opened the app because I was just interested to see what they were asking for. And one of the first questions that they ask is what type of creative business you have. Mm-hmm. And the options are self-employed or independent, nonprofit, S Corp, C Corp, individual LLC, or other. So that's just... So if you're going into this, it seems like they're expecting you to already have, essentially the business portion,
which is fair, right?
Yeah.
Which is fair. The 10, and having said that, right, looking back at the 10,000 followers on Facebook or Instagram, that could be okay. You can't just be playing around, right? You got to show us that you're in for this, that you're not,
and you're going to use the money and not just waste it.
Right.
And go out and buy Lamborghinis or
whatever,
Gucci belts.
Right. You're already down for the grind, and maybe 10,000 followers is some sort of grind indicator, which I get. I get it, So again, I'd be interested, like you said, what does Facebook want in return? not to be cynic, not to be pessimistic, but what are you
We're
selling?
black people. We have to think that way.
What are you selling?
Unfortunately,
What are you selling in return to get this part of this 25 million? I'd be
saying
interested
that
to know.
there's
And if nothing, congrats. Good on Facebook for trying something like this. And extending that. Those resources to people who,
yeah. If it
definitely
is on
want
the
it.
up and up, I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic, and I
Right.
think it will help a lot of people, especially those. I mean, however they came up with the 10,000, if people are trying to get over the hump, or trying to be able to leave their 9 to 5 to make this content creation their full-time gig, then if that's going to shift them into that lane, then I think it's fantastic, and I really hope that it is on the up and up, and they aren't trying to be shady boots. So
Right. All right. All right. So, unless you had anything else for the culture, that's all I had. We can move into the hookup. So, this is something that I found earlier this week. For those who don't know, there's all this dust up as it relates to United States Postal Service, and with the whole coronavirus out right now, people are worried about going to vote because the pandemic is out and about and is still out here, and there's a chance that all these people trying to cram into voting booths on November to vote for president, vice president, that may be an issue. So a lot of people are opting for mail-in ballots for whatever reason, and I say that rhetorically. United States Postal Service is having some issues. They're running out of resources, or rather, resources are being taken away from them. They're trying to figure out, okay, will the United States Postal Service be able to handle all of the issues as it relates to this mail-in ballots and the election, so on and so forth. Whatever the reason is, that's the issue, right? So I was trying to
And
figure out,
they've just frozen the changes. So
right.
I don't think they were expecting to get this amount of heat, and they've pretty much stopped all of the changes that they were making.
Right. So
So
one of the ways I was trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I be a part of it? So I stumbled upon something to where there's this thing called a resist bot. I don't know if it was built specifically for this reason, but one of the things that intrigued me so much about this resist bot, basically, it's a text messaging bot. And the way I used this specifically earlier this week was I used it to, so I text the letter, resist to this number. It walked me through step by step via text message on how to draft a letter to send to my congressman to say, I'm in support of the United States Postal Service. If you care about your voters, you need to, reach to the property authorities, whether it be the Postmaster General, whether it be, the President of the United States. I'm throwing my support behind the USPS, and I want you to do the same. So going through and answering these questions via text message, I was able to message or write a letter to my congressman. I think for us, it's Lucy McBath and David Perdue. Both of them got the letter as a result of this text message bot that it said, what's your name? Where are you located? How do you feel this way? And then it drafted this letter, and they actually responded. Of course, they responded with their own pre-drafted letters. But the fact that it worked, and all I had to do was text this word to this number, and it walked me through the process, is the idea, in my opinion, on how technology is supposed to make things better. So doing a
yes.
little bit more research about this resist bot, you can do more than just writing a letter to your congressman as it relates to the United States Postal Service and these mail-in ballots. You can, I'm just going on the website and I'll actually put it on the screen for those who are watching now. You can use this resist bot to do things like write or call your senators and representative of Congress. You can write a letter or call a letter to your representative in the House of Representatives. You can write to your governor. You can write to the Democratic National Committee. You can add your name to a petition that's going out. You can actually see all of the popular petitions that are going on. You can you can get a personalized voting checklist. You can find out where to vote early or on election day. You can actually use this chatbot to register to vote. You can use this to get your voter ID requirements or find out if you need a voter ID. So you can find out donate. You can find out where to donate. You can find out where you can volunteer, whether it be for election or for blood drives or to get PPE to healthcare workers. So all of these different things you can use this chatbot for. And I just thought that was cool, specifically because technology is supposed to make things easier. And this is one of the ideal ways to where you can actually use, technology, something simple as sending text messages, because it's got to be simple. And that's the other thing that brought me to this. Technology can be intimidating. It can limit certain people who don't have computers, who don't have broadband internet at home. But this, you can see, if you've got a smartphone or a phone with text message capabilities, you can use this.
You can participate.
Exactly. You can participate. So I just wanted to let people know about resist.bot. So you can go to resist.bot/guide and get a list of all the things that you can do. If you decide to do them, you can text that word or that keyword to a specific number. It'll walk you through step by step through a series of text messages, and then you can actually accomplish all those different tasks. So I just thought that was cool. So I just wanted to share that for the hookup for this week, especially what's going on with the pandemic, especially what's going on with the political, things that are going on right now. So I thought those was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool when you scroll down to the bottom. It has a blue iMessage button and a green just text button. That's a nice touch.
so it highlighted the fact that not most of the people, a lot of people out there using iMessage. So we've got our own special, we got our little blue bubble, for iMessage. Or if you're not, you can just use the regular text message. So yeah, definitely check that out. Like I said, there's a whole list of things that you can do. You can do something like, for instance, if you text NRA, right, you can see how much the gun manufacturers lobby has spent for or against your representatives. So if you're interested in that, you can, walk through the process and it'll show you, a list of, that information. You can do things like if you text the word COVID, you can get information for your state, including infection data and resources needed to get through the pandemic. If you text police, you can get police violence data for your state and city. Just a whole list of things. So definitely go to resist, RESIST.bot and get that information. So like I said, I just want to put that out there because, everybody's trying to figure out a way to get more involved. This is a great way to do it via technology, a simple way to do it via technology. All right. But other than that, I think that is it for this week. We are about a little bit over an hour, so I think we did pretty good, staying in that hour range. We definitely appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. You can definitely download, rate, and review us. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, and we're on Spotify. Definitely engage with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're on all those at snobOS Cast. You can watch us on YouTube at snobOS Cast. Definitely want to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications bell. Doing my typical YouTube thing that my daughter loves. She loves to hit that like button.
Hit the button. It's right here.
Right. I'm not putting the graphics on there. You just should know how to do it by now. But
you know what the subscribe button is.
Right.
Click
it.
Yeah.
So definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can get alerted when the next show is uploaded. Definitely can leave comments and suggestions if you want. We're on the web at snoboscast.com, or you can shoot us an email. We're at snoboscast@gmail.com. Finally, don't forget, if you want to support the show, definitely can go to patreon.com/snoboscast. If you want to give us a little bit of money, support the show for a little as $5. You can actually get access to the live show. You can get access to the pre-show where we offer additional commentary stuff you won't get on the regular show. And you get access to our Discord community to where we talk all things tech. You can get access to, submit some ideas for next week's show and all that good stuff. So other than that, that is it. We will see you guys next week. Peace.